morning. Is it bright enough up here? Can you see me?
It's dark. It's too bright over here. No, you really can't see.
We'll mess with the lights while I play this first one. Thank you. Like Robert said, I'm Gabe, and I work here at the folk school. Just going to start out with a couple of banjo tunes this morning. Hi, everybody out on Facebook there. Thanks for being here, and thanks for y'all for being here. That banjo tune is called 5 Miles from Town, and it's a fiddle tune from Clyde Davenport. And it's in a funny tuning a little bit. Kind of, to me, it's, well, a lot of banjo tunings, you can kind of call them atmospheres. They create a different mood, and that creates quite a different mood than a lot of other more familiar tunings, and it's kind of a nice one for the morning, I always think. It's a fun one to play out in the garden when the birds are singing in the morning. So while I've taken the trouble to get my banjo in that tuning, it's kind of a D tuning. It's the key of D, but it's got a couple of funny notes in there. So while I am in that tuning, I'll just play one more in that tuning. This is Mississippi Sawyer, which is usually not tuned to this banjo tuning, but because I don't have a fiddler around to get mad at me, I can do it. Mississippi Sawyer. Well, let's see. I was going to tell you a little bit about this banjo while I got you here. While I'm playing it, I made part of it at the folk school. One cool thing about coming to the folk school, as you know, is you get to sort of dabble in lots of different types of crafts. And so this banjo, I knew I was going to make it down the road at a banjo maker named Lindsay Leiden's shop, and he teaches banjo making here at the folk school. So to get ready for that build, I made these little panels here made out of copper, and I did it in the enameling studio, in the enameling class. So I kind of came in with my own goal of what I wanted to make in a class where you take the powdered glass and you wet pack it into these little depressions and patterns you've made in the copper, and then bake it in a kiln, and you have these nice little decorative panels for the banjo. And I'd never seen anything like that on a banjo. I figured I should make something that I couldn't buy in a store if I was going to make a banjo. Yeah, you should check out Lindsay's banjos sometime. He builds them under the name Mulheron Banjo. If you know any banjo makers, or if you or banjo players, or if you're a banjo player yourself. Well, what else is on my list here? Maybe do something else. Here's a song we can kind of sing together. It's a perfect song for this time of year. It finally got warm here about yesterday, where you don't have to wear a coat. And so that means that the birds are starting to nest out here. Oops, threw my capo. All the bluebirds are starting to look for their nests in our nesting boxes in Brasstown. And we had a class in the woodworking studio over the weekend where we built 5 new, well, the students all built nesting boxes to take home with them for their own backyards and neighborhoods. And we built about 5 and installed them at the folk school, fresh nesting boxes for our eastern bluebirds. And it was cool. It was a class of all beginners. I think it was 8 women who had never really touched power tools before, and so we were on the table saw and the chop saw and lots of hand tools, and learned a lot of basic carpentry. And it was really fun for everybody. I think there's a couple of them sitting in the audience today that I think had a good time. So we do that in the woodworking studio from time to time. We have a lot of classes that are for all levels, and it's really rewarding to be able to, introduce somebody to woodworking and carpentry for the first time. Here's a song called "Winter's Come and Gone." And we can sing the chorus together. Maybe some of you know it. It's a Gillian Welsh song, right? You know it? I'm looking at the work studies. They know it. It's like a prerequisite if you're a work study to know who Gillian Welsh is. So it goes like this. Here's the chorus is this. Oh, so long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone. The little bird told me so. You can try it with me. So long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone. The little bird told me so. Alright, this is kind of a new song to me, so we'll try it. I brought the words with me so I can keep us all on track. Oh, little red bird, come to my windowsill. Been so lonesome, shaking that morning chill. Oh, little red bird, open your mouth and say, been so lonesome, just about flown away. Here comes the chorus. So long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone. The little bird So long now I've been out in that rain and snow. Winter's come and gone, a little bird told me so. Oh, little bluebird, curly feather dress, 5 cold nickels, all that I've got left. Poor little bluebird, what am I gonna do? 5 cold nickels ain't gonna see me through. So long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone, the little bird told me so. So long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone, the little bird told me so. Oh, little blackbird on my wire line, dark as trouble in this heart of mine. Oh, little blackbird sings a word song, dark as trouble till winter's come and gone. Oh, how I've been out in that rain and snow till winter's come and gone. The little bird told me so. So long now I've been out in that rain and snow, but winter's come and gone. The little bird told me so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see, what else is going on here? Sometimes I'll do a cappella songs, ballads and so forth. There's a lot of those floating around in the mountains here. This one's not so old, but it's by, I've learned it from a singer named Kate Wolf, who sang a lot of old time and country music. I'm going to put my reading glasses on, which I stepped on earlier. And this is called The Lilac and the Apple Tree, and it's a song that I think will be familiar to people, at least the sentiments in it, as far as kind of when you're driving around the old country roads around here, you see a lot of old abandoned homesteads. And something I think about this time of year, having lived in the country, when you see the daffodils come up, and there's these little patches of daffodils in the middle of nowhere, those aren't just there because they are wild. They're there because there used to be maybe an outhouse there, or a little garden shed, or a house, a cabin. And so it's funny to see those out in the middle of a field somewhere, out in the woods. You see the daffodils blooming, you know that somebody lived there. And that's kind of what this song is about. I'll find a note to start on. A lilac bush and an apple tree were standing in the woods, out on the hill above the town where once a farmhouse stood. And in the winter the leaves are bare, and no one sees the sign of a house that stood and a garden that grew, and life in another time. One spring when the buds came bursting forth, and grass grew on the land. The lilac spoke to the apple tree as only an old friend can. Do you think, said the lilac, this might be the year when someone will build here once more? Here by the cellar, still open and deep, there's room for new walls and a floor. Oh no, said the apple, there are so few who come here on the mountain this way. And when they do, they don't often see why we're growing here so far away. A long time ago we were planted by hands that worked in the mine and the fields, when the country was young and the people who came built their homes in the hills. But now there are cities, the roads have come, and no one lives here today. And the only sign of the farms and the hills are things not carried away. Broken dishes, piles of boards, a tin plate, an old leather shoe, and an apple tree still bending down, and a lilac where a garden once grew. I'll play another banjo tune. I'll have to retune this. Let me think of something to talk about. Yeah. I could have brought two banjos, but that's too much to think about. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm going to. I know what I'll talk about. I got this tune now, but since Mark Zuckerberg has been so generous to give me this platform today to promote the classes in the woodcraft program here, our catalog just came out, as you probably know, and you have one. And if you at home don't have one yet, it'll be coming to you soon, or you can request one. And you can look on our website, but we have, between wood turning and woodworking and wood carving classes, we probably have over 120 classes a year in woodcraft, and for all levels of students. This week they're turning green bowls out of pieces of logs that they've chopped up, and learning all the basics of that. And like I said, we did birdhouses last week. That's like a basic carpentry class, the idea being to kind of contribute to the local ecology here and fulfill that folk school value of stewardship, which includes our plant and animal community. But we also do traditional green woodworking crafts such as chair making, spoon carving, bowl carving, and lots of things that really expand the idea of what woodworking is. And you can learn a lot about lots of things outside of just a hammer and nails and saws and things like that when you when you step into the woodworking studio. Can't think of anything else to say about that now, but look into our classes. We got a lot of really exciting instructors coming in the next year, and yeah, I hope to see some of you take a woodworking class, especially if you haven't done that before. Sticking, I guess, with our nature theme, I'm going to play a tune called Jaybird in the High Oak Tree. Too much more time, so I think I'll sing another ballad real quick. This is one that I wrote that's kind of about going camping, fishing, and things that I did. I'm from the Pacific Northwest and did a lot of camping and hiking and fishing in the Cascades before I moved out here, and luckily moved out to a place that's another temperate rainforest, surrounded by national forest and lots of fishing streams with brook trout and many hundreds of miles of hiking, including the Appalachian Trail right here. And so it feels just like home the last couple of years that I've lived here. So I wrote this song about a couple of friends of mine, real people who went on a fishing trip up the Snoqualmie River outside of Seattle. So this is called the Old Snoqualmie Trail. In the heat of the summer, high in the Cascades, two gents went a-rambling on a cold, rainy day. Their names are known to some in this crowd: Fitzpatrick, and Old Man McLeod. They fished their way up the Old Snoqualmie. Said one to the next, "Buddy, how can this be? No fish on our lines, but tons in the brook. They don't favor the flies we've tied on our hooks. Fitzpatrick, and old man McLeod made camp in high country where the morels are found. A log cabin fire to keep out the chill, tobacco and whiskey till they had their fill. The North Star appeared and they laid out their beds. McLeod's eyes grew wide and softly he said, "It seems there's a thing I've forgotten to pack, my trusty old bedroll and wool sleeping sack." Fitzpatrick then knew they were both in a bind and said to McLeod, "Let's just clear our minds. Let's brew some camp coffee and think of a plan, for my sleeping bag has just room for one man." Fitzpatrick stood up and dug down in his pack, while McLeod produced beans from an old tin cloth sack. Fitzpatrick sat down. "I've a thing to confess. It seems I've forgotten my old AeroPress." So they crushed up their beans on hard Cascade rock and filtered their brew through an old woolen sock. Both men poured a mug and tried not to taste, then climbed into bed and lay face to face. Well, thank you. Well, I think that ought to do it for the day. I appreciate being here, and those of you that tuned in, hi. And we will see you next time. Have a great day.